Okay, we are live. Danny, hello, mate. Thank you very much
Hello.
for jumping on.
Oh, you're welcome.
So as I was just saying off cam, we are putting together a little series of conversations with people in the Hybrid Athlete Club that are doing a Hyrox. Very much just taking off the facade that is you need to be an athlete to do these things. We've got people from all walks of life having fun with fitness, doing Hyrox races. We want to have a chat with them, see where they've come from, what the process has been like training for one, what their expectations are, because that's obviously going to differ too. And then the idea is we'll jump on after you've done the race and we'll see how it went, good or bad, what you learned from it, and more importantly, what other people can learn from your experience too.
Cool. Sounds good.
So yeah, for want of not asking for your life story, do you want to give a quick little who are you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. As so, my name's Dan. I'm a coach myself, but by no means at all can I listen to my own advice. So I found yourself on socials. I'm before I'm a coach, I'm a dad and I'm a husband. I've got two little girls who 4 and 8, soon to be 4 and 9. And my wife, we both work pretty much full time. Having two girls, that one is at nursery, one's at school. There's a lot of childcare that going on, and I've got my own gym that I own and run with members as well. So my life is busy, to say the least. Yeah, it's brilliant. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Might change the length of a day to have a bit more sleep, but
Yeah.
other than that, yeah, it's a very, very busy life. And training is a big part of how I get through life, I guess. It's more of a mental thing for me than it was physical. It was physical, but now it is more about keeping myself from derailing, I guess, after the weird time that was a long time ago now with COVID and that. Obviously, for a lot of people, it was a mental battle, and mine came out big time during that as well. And since then, it's been a spiraling downfall. And training is kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I think for many of us that was an interesting time, wasn't it? So different from what we used to, and there was a lot of positives that came out of it. Like you kind of alluded to there, you found a love for PE and keeping fit, but it also dragged up a lot of difficult situations for people that they've had to deal with since. So
Yeah,
it's great that you chose something super healthy and positive to focus on,
yeah.
and it's led to stuff like Hyrox.
Well, this is it. Even during the time, I was a PT during all that as well, working out of a CrossFit gym actually.
Yeah.
And it was at the time CrossFit was my thing, and before COVID and all that as well. And hadn't really heard of Hyrox until obviously that kind of time. It was when it started to come about anyway, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things that I really wanted to do, but I hate running. Like we've spoke about it before.
We have, yeah.
I have a massive hate for running, and but the idea of Hyrox, I think the fact that it's just so simple
Mhm.
in what it is actually, like when you look at it, putting it all together is intense, but it's all just real simple stuff. It's it's just push, pull, run, jump, throw, like general physical
All the
preparing.
fundamentals, right?
Right, and it is so simple, but it's so appealing. Putting it all together, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I kind of went, "Oh no, it's too big now." Like everyone wants to do it, so I didn't do it.
Okay.
And then last year, I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I'll just enter it. Maybe it'll give me something to focus on," because I was having a bit of a rough patch. So I entered the doubles with my friend, another Dan as well, which was
Double
who is
down.
one of my clients, a member at my gym. And my idea was, if I've got something booked in, I'll train for it and it'll be awesome. So I booked it in like November last year for the May 4th in London.
Yeah.
And what actually happened was I didn't train at all for it, and it got to race day and I was an absolute mess. The stations were fine, but the running I was absolutely terrible at. And it was kind of like an eye-opener of how my own mental health had stopped me doing so much myself that I'd let my fitness drop off whilst trying to run a business and have all the stresses of that. And it kind of put a big perspective for me at the end of the race. Although I felt amazing, I accomplished it, I finished it, I didn't train for it, which made me feel terrible, but I knew that I could do better if I did. And then it kind of became a little bit of an obsession of, right, I've got to train for this now. I need to do this. And I want to enter another one and I want to keep on doing it. And now, see, I found yourself. I went on a kind of like a fat loss program with another coach for 6 weeks, where again, it was just basics, just drilled it in, and I stripped down, got a little bit fitter, felt confident, and then found yourself, joined the program, and the past 11 weeks have been immense.
Absolutely flying.
It's been big, and it's got me back into that mojo that I had 4 years ago coming out of COVID, and before I got married, I was at the probably the lightest and fittest that I've ever been, and then it all kind of fell apart since COVID and since getting married. I think and then now I'm almost back to that level again. Amazing. And enjoying running, which is weird for me to say.
That's the first time you said that.
Like I've actually like I think it's because I've never actually had like a program to run to. It's always been I'll just go for a run, and I hate it because I'm just running. But see the structure that you've given me of the tempo work, the intervals, the hill sprints were interesting. And the longer runs, putting those all together. Obviously, I've put programs together for people myself, and I get the feedback of how good it is and how effective it is and how helpful. But for me, being a coach, giving myself a program never works because I don't feel like I've got that accountability. Whereas knowing that, I'll ping you a message, or I update the app with what I've done and get the feedback from you of actually following it all, and it's all the progressions working to the point where I think like the calculator that you provided at the beginning, like looking at my race pace or what my goal race pace was, now even when the app tells me I have to run at a certain pace, I'm like, that's too slow. I can't run at that pace. It's too slow for me. So actually, my now goal race pace is almost like a minute and a bit quicker than what my initial race pace goal was. So
that's awesome.
Over 12 weeks to have had that much of an improvement just by staying consistent and just every day looking at the app and going, right, I'm doing that. Okay.
That's what you're doing. Mate, what a journey. I'm going to take you back a little bit to the start, but you kind of just alluded to what I was going to say there. So you started that off talking about how you thought booking a Hyrox would give you a bit of accountability, and then ended up not training for it. It was almost, a cock block to actually training because you scared of the commitment that was needed. But actually, what you've shown yourself now is if you're consistent through a program, you sort of almost build your own momentum, right? Your own motivation, because you're seeing that progress, which is phenomenal. And whether that's on our program or just somebody trying to run for the first time, they just head out for a walk, jog. They do that every day or however many times a week. You start to build your own accountability and your own momentum, your own motivation, which is flipping awesome. What do you think was different though this second time? Was it because you'd experienced what it was like to turn up at a Hyrox unprepared?
Yeah.
And you thought, actually, I can't do that again? Or
It was exactly that. It was that turning up into can't even remember where it was. It was Olympia, I think. I don't know.
it would have been in May, yeah.
Yeah, turning up there and the atmosphere and it being so walking in through the door straight away, me and Dan were both like, wow, this is awesome. And going on to register and looking over the balcony and seeing the start
Pretty
tunnel,
epic, right?
and we were like, oh, this is like not actually seen it before, and going, oh man, this is amazing. And then getting, going through the motions after we'd registered, walking around it all, having a look at all the different bits and going, okay, mentally preparing ourselves, warming up, and then getting into the start tunnel ourselves. And weirdly, at the same time as our start time, bumping into a friend of mine that I'd not seen in years was in our same start wave.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guy called James Dollar. He works for a company called Pure Sport. He's an absolute weapon of a man. Just shot off. I think he lapped us on the first lap of the running.
Wow.
And that, for me, seeing him run past, I was like, oh man, there goes Dollar. Wow. Okay. I know he's rapid anyway, but I was gassing already on the first lap, and it just kind of went in my head like, what have I done? What have I done? And then it was an hour and 44 minutes around about, I think, for men's doubles with me and Dan. Dan runs a lot, so for him it wasn't as bad. I felt like I was holding him back for the runs. The stations were fine. We got some good times on the stations, but it was all about the running.
Yeah,
so when I finished it, I kind of just went, that I've just wasted the past 4 months not training when I could have done. I had the time, I had the goal, I just didn't put in any commitment to it. So I was like, what can happen if I do train? At the time, obviously, they hadn't announced any more events, so it was like, okay, when could I do it? Like, when's it going to be? But I need to sort my stuff. I need to sort my shit out.
Yeah, and we'll find out. We'll find out next week what happens when you train, right? Because you have been super consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been pretty phenomenal.
And that's it. I'm really looking forward to next week. I'm ready. I feel really ready, and I'm excited for it. Like, if it was this weekend, I'd be ready to get into that start tunnel straight away.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go now.
And then just quick,
I've had a little bit of a wobble this week with my knee. But yeah,
we'll come back to that in a sec. What division are you doing at Birmingham, and what?
So on Friday, I'm running mixed doubles with my partner Nicola, who is she's a member at my facility, and she's a good friend as well. So she's a good friend more than she's a member, to be fair.
Nice.
And Dan's also racing that day as well. He got suckered in by me sending him a link from the Rocks tickets Facebook group saying that there was something available, and then he'd had a few beers at the time, and he bought a men's open individual, so he's racing on Friday morning on his own for the first time. And then me and Nick will be at some point in the afternoon, and then stupidly on the Sunday I'm racing again, but in a relay. Which
I don't know if I knew that. That's exciting.
Maybe I didn't tell you. Maybe I kept that from you just in case you had a go at me. But yeah, I kind of thought if it's only 2 stations, and the members are looking forward to it. They've been enjoying watching me train and obsess about it, and bring a lot of the elements I've been bringing into some of the training sessions for the larger group classes. So they're kind of like, oh yeah, they're getting them on board as well. So we got that on the Sunday. But yeah, Friday afternoon, obviously the start window, I can't remember, sometime, but I'll be there all day because Dan could be in the morning, so I'll be supporting him. Definitely.
Yeah, mate, super excited. We'll come on to race day in just a minute. I do want to quiz you a little bit more on what changed from that first Hyrox then, because again, something else you said earlier was life is just hectic, right? Kids, you've got your own business, like you're dealing with people in this context as well, like a coach-athlete relationship, which takes up more time than just a class time, I'm sure. So you've obviously managed that to some degree, well or not well, over the last 12 weeks, because as I've alluded to a few times, you've just been on it, right? So what is there anything you've done differently, consistently to help juggle life and training and work? Or has it just been like you've committed to doing something?
One thing I joined a more commercial gym, so I took myself away from my workspace and took myself away from another community focused gym like a box, because I think having as you could probably tell, I don't quite. You get into a talk with me and I can have a nice conversation for a while, and if I'm doing that in a gym, I'll never get a workout done. So I joined a commercial gym and took myself away from being in a work environment where if I'm at the gym that I work out of, I'll be there on my laptop more than I am training.
You're still at work, really.
So I'll be like, and so I've joined there's a Fitness First have now become affiliated through most of their gyms for Hyrox, so they've got all the kit that I need as well, which is perfect, as well as a sauna as well, which always helps. So that's the biggest thing is taking myself out of my work environment, so I can just crack on and do the training. And then family wise, my girls actually, they very much look up to daddy and want to do stuff like what daddy does as well. So I entered my first ever running event. Like I told you a while ago, I did the 10K here in Bedford. And that was another thing. Like I would never have entered a running race before, never. But with all the training that I was doing, I was like, all right, I've got all these medals for doing all sorts of things, but I've never done a running one. So that pushed me to that as well. And the girls came out and they did the fun run with me beforehand.
Oh, nice.
So there's although my
You're
wife,
bringing them into the habit, right?
Yeah. Obviously that they're an impressionable age, I guess, but it's at least I'm not kind of feeding something else to them that's going to be more detrimental to their ongoing health,
of course,
from a young age. Because for me, it's been the past 13 years that I've been into fitness. Before that, it was all about eating and drinking, and I was not fit and healthy. So I want to make sure that they've got a decent head start into that, and having them look up to me and want to do the same things that daddy does makes it a bit easier when I want to go out for a run, because they can come out on their bikes and run along and ride alongside me if I'm doing a nice slow weekend piece. So trying to involve the family with stuff has been a massive help as well.
And that makes, I guess, training becomes part of family time, because they're involved in that process, and it makes it's not an and/or situation. Like dad is going to go and train, or he can play with you. You're merging the two, which is super nice.
And they come to work with me in the evenings every day. Just there's a crossover where I have to get ready for coaching, and my wife has to finish her office job to come and then get the girls. So there is an element of an hour of a day where if I have to squeeze something else that I haven't quite finished from the program, I'll get to the gym early, and they then do bits with me as well. Like they pick up the little kettlebells, they'll do deadlifts, and it becomes a really wholesome little family workout. And for them to learn how to deadlift properly at this age. At least they won't look like human
Yeah.
question marks when they start going to the gym when they're older.
Very true. Very true. You're I guess super fortunate that your work also gives you by proxy gives you a community of people that are interested in fitness as well, right? But you've touched on it a couple of times there. One as a means of motivation, but also just in you doing a Hyrox and showing them that if you train consistently, you see a bit of progress. I'm sure they've seen you looking fitter, feeling like being happier and more engaged with them as well, just by following the program consistently. That's super important as well, right? It doesn't have to be, obviously, as I said, you're a coach, so it's part of work, but whether you're following a program online or working with a coach, finding some other people that you can train around, be around, that are thinking along similar lines is super helpful as well.
Yeah, massively. And like I said, they've been interested in what I've been doing personally in my training, which is different to what I give to them. And some of it's forced. Like I'm like, right, we're going to do burpee broad jumps today. But some of it is like, they're generally like, oh, like, what's this about? How can we get into this? And it's like, okay, we'll explain it. Show them more about it. They didn't know what Hyrox was. Some of them did. And then I've got people that, again, like what the whole thing that we're talking about, with everyone from coming all walks of life into fitness. I've got different ages and different types of people that have different jobs, and they have that one common ground is coming to the gym and putting themselves through whatever we do for their own personal reasons, and being able to have that little community, which is the most important part of it for me there at work. We kind of all spur each other on, and they're excited to see what happens next week. And then there's the group of us doing the relay that are really getting twitchy about getting onto it as well, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'd probably be in the same place if I didn't have that group. If I had a different job, I think I'd still have the focus, and obviously doing the work with yourself, I'd be putting it in, but I think there'd be a slightly different mentality to how I was approaching it if I had a desk job, maybe. So I am lucky to have that kind of different element, but at the same time, you're going to have other people on this program with us as well that have got a completely different job and different aspects of their personal life that are going to have its own challenges as well. So that's the thing. It is, I think they call it the fitness race for everyone, don't they, or something like that. And I think it really is.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Being there in May and seeing all the different types of people there, it's so inclusive. And it's just a shame that it's become so restricted in how you can get into it, unfortunately, fighting for tickets.
And you've managed to bag too, which is exciting. So thinking next week then. So let's talk about the doubles one more so than the relay, I think, just because it's a good comparison from before, right? So this will be your second Hyrox.
Yep.
What are you excited about? What were you a little bit apprehensive about?
Excited about just going into it with the confidence of that I've prepared myself this time. And whether obviously it's different because I've got a different partner, and it's a mixed double, so that's going to bring its own difficulties for Nick, because she's got to push a 152 kilo sled rather than a 103, I think. And so she's got to do everything at the men's open weights in a mixed double. So for her, it's probably going to be quite a big push. So yeah, excited to see how it's going to be different. Whether I get a similar, slower or faster time, at the minute, I really don't care. I just want to get through it. Just want to do it again and have have that feeling. The burpee broad jumps, that's again like this what I didn't look forward to, didn't enjoy last time. And I think it's just in my head. It's just one of those things that's just in my head. It was my weakest movement last time.
Yeah.
And well, other than the running, but we don't talk about that.
Well, you're half a runner now, right? So
this is I'm genuinely not really bothered about the running this time. I'm looking forward to it, which is weird. And from the conversation that we had when 10 weeks ago, 11 weeks ago, where I told you how I hate running, I've gone completely the other way in that time frame.
Yeah, you've got I talk a lot about evidence-based confidence. You can't be confident unless you've got evidence that you deserve to be confident, right? And you've got 12 weeks now where you've proved to yourself that you're a runner. You got a bloody running medal. You're a capable runner. So yeah, damn right you're not nervous. Like damn right you're confident. You should be, because you've put the work in and you've got yourself in a position where you deserve and have allowed yourself to be confident about the running. And I hope that by the time you get to those burpee broad jumps, you have a half a second to realize that you aren't half dead now, because all of that work you put in the running has got you to the start of the burpee broad jumps in a much better fitness-wise, capacity-wise position to just smash through those as well. So yeah, we'll catch up after the race, find out how that went. But yeah, I'll remember to question the burpee broad jumps. On the race itself then, so you mentioned like when you walked into that first one, it's a pretty epic environment that you're going into, right? But it can also be ridiculously overwhelming if it's the first time you've gone in. So you're going to be slightly better prepared for just the beautiful chaos that is a Hyrox arena. Is there anything else that you've like noted, mentally jotted down, that you need to take with you, that you need to do before the race? Like anything different that you learned from the first time?
We got there reasonably early before, and we walked past the warm-up area, and it was dead.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's okay, good. There's a decent warm-up area. They've got some bike ergs, good. All I want to do is get my legs moving, do some stretches, maybe push a sled just to wake myself up a bit. And then 45 minutes before our time slot, we went to the warm-up zone again, and you couldn't see the floor for all the feet of people. So we were like, oh, what? Wow, okay, what are we going to do? And then we ended up finding a space just to run up and down and just do some dynamic stretches, and that was it. That was our warm-up. So I think it would be I'm not going to go with the idea that the warm-up zone is going to be where I do my warm-up. I think as soon as I get there, it will be scoping out the areas of dead space that they've got around the arena, where I can actually maybe get warmed up a bit more myself, go for some little shuttles or something. Other than that, I'm an over preparer with things as well. So I'll have my bag and it will be packed full of things that probably won't even make it out of the bag on the day. I won't need it, but it's there. I've got it if I need it.
Sure.
And hopefully I won't. But yeah.
Anything mentally you're thinking about differently? Obviously, you mentioned like just a bit more confident in general, which is great. So maybe the nerves won't be quite as bad, but
that's it. I think it's because I'm genuinely more prepared and excited mentally now than I was last time. I was excited for it before, but knowing that I hadn't trained, I was going in very, very skeptical of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas this time, I think as long as I've got a good night's sleep behind me the night before, I'll wake up on Friday and
ready to go.
Yeah, it's a week today. I mean, like this time,
is it really?
This time next week, it maybe very getting warmed up depending on our start time. Because
no, definitely.
Yeah, mixed doubles I think starts at like 12:20. So Dan
Mate,
should be
exciting
finished
stuff.
by now. So he'll be lying on the floor somewhere in the NEC, and then me and Nick will be getting ready to delve in.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think it's just keeping keep on telling myself that the past 12 weeks have prepped me for this, and this is going to be fun. Just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. Whereas last time it was all about, why am I doing this? I haven't trained. Why haven't I trained for it? And just questioning myself all the time. And then after it, kind of having a go at myself for not training for it because I could have done better. But actually now it's like, whatever happens next week, I've prepared myself for it. And whatever happens, we can look back on it and go, awesome, it went amazing. Or we can go in and like, right, this needs to be different next time. And just like, don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze at the time. Just go and enjoy it.
Amazing, mate. I think that's a wicked line to end on as well, actually. Because you're right. You've put in a hell of a lot of effort over the last 12 weeks. You have earned the right to go and enjoy yourself because you're way fitter, way faster than you were 12 weeks ago. If it goes great, amazing. If it doesn't, you've still got that fitness bank that we can use at another race as well. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mate. Super excited. We will catch up after the race. I'd love to hear how it will. We'll catch up in Birmingham because I will also be laying on the floor.
Yeah.
But we'll catch up again on here after the race, hear how it went, what you learned, what we're going to do Hyrox or racing wise afterwards as well. You mentioned you got a gym. Where is it?
We're in Bedford. So yeah, it's called the Training Community. And we're in Bedford. Nice little private small group personal training studio with large group stuff as well. And it's all it's nice little close net of people that have been with me for a very long time.
Wicked. I will chuck any Instagram website links in the description down below if anyone is around Bedford and wants to come and say hello. Now, mate, really appreciate it. I will speak to you before next week, of course. But good luck
over the past 12 weeks, mate. It's been a big
pleasure,
big block of this year that I've really enjoyed. So, 1 week today.
Yes, sir. Okay, buddy. Well, I will speak to you soon, and we'll catch up next week.
Nice one. Thank you,
mate.
Awesome. Cheers.